A very warm welcome to another session of Sprint X 2021 for ICSE 10. Today we are going to do the second session of the contemporary world with me, Ankana, your master teacher for social sciences at Vedant, hoping all my dear bachas are doing absolutely fine and amazing. Hoping that all you guys are enjoying the sprint sessions. Do tell me in the comment section, guys, if you're enjoying this or not. Let's get started with session. And this is the list of the topic that we will be covering under the contemporary world. We have already finished the First World War. Today we'll be finishing the Second World War and United Nations. Amazing. But before that, let's have a quick glance at the schedule for your Sprint X series ICSE 2021. This is your schedule for physics. This is your schedule for chemistry, for maths, for biology, social sciences and English. Amazing. Chalo, bahut badhiya. So with that, we have actually seen a whole lot of sessions that has already come and that is going to come ahead for you. So on that note, hit the like button right now, my dear students, because it's going to be super duper fun and you're going to enjoy all these sessions a lot. And I hope you are already enjoying these sessions a lot. Do tell me in the comment section. As I've told you before, hit the like button, keep sharing the video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed to the channel, because a lot of these sessions are going to come forward, which is going to be super amazing and very helpful for you. Now, let's start the session with the discussion of the answer of the answer of the question given in the previous session. The question was, Germany lost Alsace-Lorraine to which country? Bacha, this was the place which they had acquired from France. They had to give it back to them. So B, France is the correct answer. Now, Satyansh Singh, Navandeep Singh, Payal Tiwari, Debangi, Malik, all of you guys and all of you other students who are watching this session out there, who are sending out your love, your affection to me in mails and comments, everyone, thank you so much. I'm sincerely expressing my gratitude and thankfulness to you, because I can't express it in words how happy and motivated it makes me feel, how much it inspires me. I think the whole journey has been very easy because of this immense amount of love and care that I've received from you guys, and all this love and comments and sweetness that you people have showered on me, which and I think all of the Vedanta teachers for that matter, that is what has kept us going and keeps us so excited despite of having such long days. And that is why we are able to come up with such amazing sessions which you guys like, which helps you. So keep all of that love coming, keep liking the videos, keep commenting on the videos, keep sending such comments, your mails. Guys, also I want to take this moment and apologize for the people who have not been able to reply over mail. I do reply to few students, hardly, not to all, very few. It's when I have the phone in my hand, I receive the mail and I immediately reply, but it gets a little difficult because we receive mails from office about sessions, there's recording, the timing is a little off, and in that flow a lot of times I'm not able to reply to you guys, and I'm sorry for that, but that doesn't mean that I don't read your mails. It's just that I don't get a chance. So I just want to go out there and say that thank you so much for sending out those mails, which makes me feel so good. Thank you guys, and let's get started with another amazing session. So optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Satyavachan. Guys, if you know you can do it and you're hopeful about it, you are going to achieve it ultimately. And do not lose on the confidence. See, confidence is the biggest weapon you have in your journey and war of success. And I think being optimistic is very important. If you're like, yaar, ye to hoga hi nahi, this I won't be able to do, you've lost it right there before you've started, because optimism is not there, hope is not there. Then what will get you through? What will take you to that limit? Nothing. I'm like, what? Think about it, right? So if you don't have hope, what will you look forward to? You wouldn't have anything to look forward to. So don't ever lose on hope. Don't ever lose on the optimism that you are going to do it. When you start, you say to yourself, I can, I will, and I know this. Write this in big letters, paste it on your wall, look at it every day and reiterate it for yourself, because I'm telling you guys, you can and you will. So let's rock your exams, your board exams, your preparation, all of it with this amazing session, beginning with the very first question, a 2-marker question, which is, why was the League of Nations established? But what was League of Nations? League of Nations was basically brother of United Nations, okay? A small younger brother which had to which kind of died earlier. So League of Nations after World War I was formed, okay? So after World War I, it was the result of the World War I, because till then people had not seen World War II. So World War I was the most destructive thing people had seen, okay? Most destructive, brutal, ruthless, damaging, causing so much of losses of lives, property, resources, everything. So after this, people went like, hey, we need to have a peacekeeping committee, okay? So to keep up peacekeeping keeping okay. So they realized that they needed an institution that could keep the peace of the world, okay, world peace intact. So this is what these guys wanted, and that was the idea of the formation of the League of Nations, where France, Britain, all of these countries were there. So the main objective of the League of Nations was to preserve peace and settle disputes by arbitration. It was created to prevent future wars. So the idea was not to let any wars happen. Okay, but obviously this was not very successful because it was not very active. It was kind of partial in nature. They were not very clear. Also, clarity was not there. Okay, clarity was not there. Because of all of these things, it was a failure, and they were mostly allies together. So countries like Germany did join, but then Hitler came and said that, hey, this League of Nations is useless here, I'm gonna opt out. Japan said that. Countries like these kept on doing this. Okay, now the problem was that countries like Germany and Japan did prove it right that League of Nations were not capable enough. Okay, so they actually lacked the trust and belief by a lot of people, by a lot of nations. If that would have been shown to them, then it would have been easier. But this is something that these guys did not have. That is something that they lacked in. That was a major problem. Okay, so I mean, that was not the only reason. I mean, like, World War II had to happen. It happened, and they were very huge, strong driving forces. But the idea of League of Nations was to keep the peace of world intact and not let any world war happen, which would result in such destruction again. Moving on to the next 2-marker question, but you at least have to try to make 2 points. Stick to 30 to 40 words. You can actually go up to 60 words if necessary, but normally you would answer in brief. Okay. Next question. What is meant by the term veto power? But your veto power is basically a power given to strong members, permanent members, or members who have a say anywhere in general, where they can actually give a negative vote. Okay, so a vote of no, vote of no. And even if one person, okay, says no, the bill, the idea, the proposal will not pass. Okay, so whatever whatever has been proposed will not be passed. Okay, whatever is proposed. So the thing is, bacha, that there's a possibility that out of 90% people, or most of the people have voted yes, but one person has given the veto, then in that case also the bill will not pass, the proposal will not pass. That is what the veto power is. So a negative vote, the vote of no, vote of no by a permanent member of a Security Council is called a veto power. So we know that there are permanent members of Security Council. Now my question to you is, how many permanent members do we have in Security Council? So you have to answer this in the comment section. Moving on to the next question, right? The full forms of UNICEF, WHO, UNESCO. I think World Health Organization has become very popular after COVID scenario. They have been quite in news. So again, this is a 2-marker question. We just have to write the full form. So UNICEF, bacha, is United Nations Children's Fund. WHO, as I told you, World Health Organization, and UNESCO is United Nations. So you see, UN will always have United Nations, UN ESCN first and then the rest of the full form. So ESCO basically stands for Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. So with that, we have finished the first 3 2-marker questions. Now I quickly want to tell you guys about the Vedantu Pro subscription. But this is a super subscription. Through every live session. So yes, all the sessions are going to be live, no replays. No replays are going to be there, no premiere session is going to be there. See, if you miss because of whatever reason, that is a problem. But again, you have option to cover it up with some other teacher. But let's say if you want to attend a particular session, if missed it, even then it's not going to be a problem, because you're going to have replays, which is also going to be very interactive and not boring as regular replays. Okay, and I'll tell you how. So every session bacha has some fun high level quizzes, okay, which you get to attempt, and that gives you an understanding of how well you're understanding the questions or the concept or the topic. And even if you were not understanding through that questions, you'll get some clarity. At the same time, you get a great exposure because you get an opportunity to compete with the students throughout the world. As I was talking about replays, but your replays are interactive because they're not boring like regular replays. You don't just see the quiz, acha, this was the quiz, now what do I do? I'm not watching a live session. You can still play the quizzes and make your place on the leaderboard if you've answered questions correctly and have actually scored points more than the students who had scored in the live session. Your name will appear on the leaderboard. How awesome is that? At the same time, content, I don't need to talk about it. You know how amazing content Vedantu has. But you can now download that content and have handwritten notes of the master teachers. In class, your doubts will be solved. Sare ke sare doubts, all your doubts, class teachers, master teachers, everyone will sit together, sort your doubts out, and I will show it to you. I will prove it to you that this really happens. And every session will have assignments at the end of the session shared with you, which will give you an option to revise the whole concept that you have learned. And let's say after that you realize that, hey, I have not understood this concept well, then you have the options of the micro sessions, wherein all the chapters, just particular chapters and topics are being revised. You can always go and attend to these sessions. Crash courses are also there, wherein right now, for example, we are having 1 month crash courses where we're doing the entire syllabus revision. This is the best time to join this if you want to revise your syllabus, guys. And all of these things, you don't have to pay separately. All of this is going to be absolutely free for you. That's super amazing. Yeah, so all you need to do is go on the link given in the description box. Also, it is pinned in the comment section. You can also go on vdnt.in/ytpro. And just make sure to apply the code AKEPRO. The moment you apply this code, you get a further discount of 20% on top of the discount that was already available. So the plan, which was for 4,000 rupees, is now available for 2,699. But if you further apply the code AKEPRO, you get it only for 2,159. And when you divide it by the number of classes, and we're just taking 200, that on an regular basis, you may not be able to attend more than 200. Let's say you attend more than 300, then per session is going to go down. But let's say 200, then bacha 2159 divided by 200 is going to cost you less than 11 rupees. It's going to get 10 point something, but let's say 11 rupees. That is what is going you need to pay per session. How awesome is that? And where do you need to do this? Let me quickly show it to you. So bacha, this is my video. So you have to go down to the description box. See, comment section, it is also pinned in the comment section. And from here, okay, you can go ahead with the plan. Okay, so see, this is Vedantu Course Pro. From here, you can go ahead with the Vedantu subscription. Otherwise, go into the description box and click on here. See, subscribe to Vedantu Pro now. Otherwise, you also have an option of going on vdnt.in/ytpro. Okay, and I think I have just showed it to you, and I have not switched the screen to full screen, so I'll do that again. I always make this mistake. Yeah, now it is switched to full screen. So got it. Yes, guys. Yeah, it's switched to full screen. So now you can see here, this is your description box. When you go here, I will make it show less so that you know how exactly it looks like. So bacha, when you open any video, okay, my video, this is how the description will look like. So you can either go here, it is pinned in the comment section. You will also find the link in the live chat, and then you can go to show more, and when you scroll down, you can see that the Vedantu Pro link is given right over here. Sorry, subscription link, okay, right over here. Otherwise, you can go on VDNT Pro and enter, and it will direct you to the same page. Over here, select your class, Okay, and whatever your target is, if you want to enroll for next year, this year, whatever, I will enroll. Now this year we have this plan available, I will proceed to pay. Now you may be thinking, ma'am, you said 4,026.99, where is the discount? So you have to put the coupon code. You put the coupon code, apply. So it's just going to cost you 2159 rupees. And on top of it, see, this is how you replay. So this is how your session page will look like, my sessions. Okay. So these are my sessions. So this is how your page will also look like. Okay. And apart from that, when you start with the replay, you get an option to try an alternative replay. You can replay the whole session over here. See, this is how it will look like. Okay, so this is how the session will look like. And then bacha, see, these many questions were asked. So quiz questions, so many quiz questions from the chapter was done. And actually children had asked 41 doubts, out of which 41 doubts were solved. So your doubts really get solved over here. So I'm telling you guys, do not miss on this opportunity. It's a superb opportunity. It will definitely assist you and will be there with you guys till your boards. Okay, awesome. Let's move on to the next question. Why did Hitler invade why did Hitler not invaded why did Hitler invade Poland? Okay, okay, I myself have done it wrong. It will be invade. Yes. Why did Hitler invade Poland? Bacha, he actually had this, he was very hungry for power, and he wanted and he believed in expansion. So he believed that without expanding, you cannot increase your power and you cannot increase your resources. So you have to keep expanding. That was one major idea in his head. Another reason was that Poland was a part of Russia, right? And there were a lot of Germans who were there. Okay, so they had already signed a peace treaty and they were not supposed to treat the Germans in any bad spirit, but they were actually doing a lot of atrocities against these Germans. So that was also one more motivation that he had. So by the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was divided in two parts in order to give land route to Poland up to sea, and the part of Danzig was also given to Poland. So Germany wanted to regain her lost territory. So eventually, obviously, after Treaty of Versailles, they wanted to gain back everything, undo everything the Treaty of Versailles had done. So undo what Treaty of Versailles had done. That was also one major reason. Okay, now the city of Danzig was inhabited mainly by Germans, and by occupying Danzig corridor, Germany could connect with East Prussia. So they wanted to get their connection to Prussia. Okay, Germany signed a non-aggression pact with Russia in 1939. Poland was accused of committing atrocities against Germans. Okay, Germans living there. So on 1st September 1939, the German armies marched into Poland, and this marked the beginning of the Second World War. So this is what had happened. This invasion of Poland was the immediate cause of World War II. Next, give the reason as to why Japan invaded China. Bacha, one simple reason. In the previous session, we had discussed that everyone wanted to, have colonies. Why? Because colonies used to bring power, money, resources, right, labor, all of these things is what they could achieve. So ultimately the new mantra at this time for countries was that if they want power and money, they have to expand. So for this expansion is why they had this is the thirst that Japan also had. This is the hunger that Japan also had. Japan also wanted to expand, have colonies. So despite of colonies of UK and US already being in China, they still invaded further. Now League of Nations did try to stop Japan. Okay, League of Nations over here understood that this could have led to war. So they did try to stop them, but Japan was not going to listen to anyone. So they said, okay, fine, you're being so aggressive, take it. But they did not stop, obviously, and by Pearl Harbor happened. Okay, so in Asia, that did not happen in China, guys, don't get confused. Pearl Harbor incident happened during World War II with America. That is what forced America to join World War II. They were not participating actively in World War II. but Japan was actually really aggressive, and they had this huge this thing in their head that they have to expand and be very powerful. So that is what led to this chain of events. Okay, so in Asia, Japan harbored expansionist desires. Okay, they wanted to expand. It attacked China in 1931 and annexed Manchuria. China appealed to the League of Nations. It requested, naturally went to them to declare sanctions against Japan. Britain and France, leading members of the League of Nations of the League, ignored the appeal initially. After that, what happened? Japan started dancing on their head. It was like, okay, fine, you have not done anything. I will take your colonies only. So in 1933, Japan left the League of Nations and started occupying British and American properties in China, the colonies that they already had. Britain and France followed the policy of appeasement, under which they ignored aggressive policies of Japan because they wanted ultimately to have peace. And they felt that Japan is being very aggressive, and if they do not if they do not give up in front of Japan, if they do not listen to Japan, Japan is actually going to wage a war, and they did not want to do that. So they went ahead with appeasement, and they actually said that, thinking that Japanese could be used to weaken China. They thought, it's okay, we will use Japan because it's a part of the League of the Nations, to corner China if required. Let it do whatever it wants to. The Japanese were determined to dominate Far East. America warned Japan of the dire consequences, but Japan ignored. She joined Rome Bowl in Tokyo Axis. She also attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, which brought America to revolt. And Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what happened? So yeah, Japan kind of poked the sleeping bear, or lion, I would say. Moving on to the next 3-marker question, but your 3 points at least we have to make, and your answers would range around 80 to 100 words. Okay, mention 3 objectives of the UN. See, one objective that you always have to keep in mind is keep the peace intact, world peace, and not let any wars happen with proper discussion and deliberation. So this is a major thing that the UN is sitting there to achieve, right? To maintain international peace and security of everyone, to take collective measures for prevention and removal of threats to peace, to suppress the acts of aggression or other breaches of peace, to develop friendly relations among the nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of people, to be a center of harmonizing the actions of nations in the attainment of these common ends. So these are the agendas and objectives of United Nations. Okay, I hope I am in focus. Now we're going to get started with our 4-marker questions, but as I told you, each mark will have 1 point at least. You can go up to 6 to 7 points as well, depending upon what the question is asking. Now over here, the question is asking, what are the powers and functions of the General Assembly? As I told you, it is a discretionary, it is a deliberative organ, right? And they do a lot of things. They definitely look after the peace. Okay, now they also actually have a say for Security Council whenever non-permanent members have to be selected and elected. Permanent. Okay guys, I have written some random spelling, even I am not able to read, so probably I should improve my handwriting a little more. But let me get the pen. Are ho jao yaar. Yeah. Non permanent members. So when the elections of these members have to happen, they participate. So they basically do a lot of things, and they also work with other organs to keep the security and peace of the world intact, right? So the powers and the functions of General Assembly are to consider and make recommendations on principles of cooperation in the maintenance of international peace and security. So they do maintain a lot of things. They also come with policies. Okay, to discuss, I told you it's a deliberative organ, institution. So discuss any question relating to international peace and security, and to make recommendations on that. To initiate studies and make recommendations to promote international political, social and economic cooperation. To make recommendations for the peaceful settlement of disputes if there is any dispute going on between any country, any 2 countries, right, or more. To receive and consider reports from Security Council and other organs of United Nations. They also get a report annually, or depending upon what the term has been decided, and they actually have a look at it and monitor it and keep a tab on it, you could say. To consider and approve the budget of the United Nations and to apportion the contributions among members. to elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, judges of the International Court of Justice. So basically election of a lot of of various kinds of elections for the different organs of UN. That's also what they do. And to appoint the Secretary General of the on the recommendation of Security Council. So these are the objectives and functions of what do you say? What was it? It was not Security Council, it was General Assembly. Okay, moving on to the next question. What are the powers and functions of the International Court of Justice? Bacha, judiciary power in a way. So they actually disputes and all, they do handle it and a lot of things when it is there. So the parties, right? So this is point number 1. Only member states may apply and appear before the court. Sources of applicable law. The court decides the cases based on international treaties, conventions, international customs, general principles of law, what kind of agreements and things, treaties have been signed, pacts have been signed between two countries. Based on all of that, they make their judgment. Yeah. Voluntary jurisdiction. The court is competent to entertain a dispute if the states concerned agree to take issue to it. Okay, if states are initiating and approaching the IOJ, they do it. Okay, ICJ, sorry, against this is about the compulsory jurisdiction. So against the background that a large number of treaties provide that disputes are submitted to the court. Jurisdictions decide on disputes pertaining to the interpretation of international law. Over here, they do the interpretation of international law. Jurisdictions decide on compensations to be made for the breach of international obligation. So there are certain rules, certain policies. What if somebody disregards this and breaks it? Disregards and breaks it. Okay, what will happen? Naturally, this is what will happen. So they have to abide by certain rules and policies. So they actually take actions against these companies. Sanctions are imposed on them, etc. Not companies, countries. Okay, now advisory opinions, which are open solely to international organizations, example organs and specialized agencies of the UN. Since 1946, the court has given 24 advisory opinions whenever people ask it. So with this, guys, we have finished the contemporary world, First World War, Second World War and United Nations. Amazing. But so let's quickly look at the homework question. Which day the United Nations flag was adopted? 30th October 1945, 29th October 1947, 28th October 1947 or 24th October 1945. You have to put the answer in the comment section. Now let's have a quick look on the sessions. So we have had previous session of contemporary world yesterday at 9 p.m. Today at 9 p.m. we are having the contemporary world part 2. Tomorrow 14th Feb at 9 p.m. we'll be having the Union Legislature. Amazing. So guys, do not forget to subscribe to Vedantu Pro subscription. I've told you, use this code to get extra 20% discount. You can also go on vdnt.in/ytpro, shortcut to all of it, and get the subscription. Now on that note, do not forget to hit the like button, people. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because we're going to keep coming with the sessions till the end of the month. You do not want to miss on any of the sessions for any of the subjects. So make sure that you're subscribed so you keep on getting the notifications and you know when what is coming. And keep sharing the video with your friends. Hit the like button. Comment in this comment section. How are you liking the sessions? Put your homework question in the comment section. I've also asked you one question in the beginning, which I also don't remember. I will actually quickly check. I think I wrote, oh yes, I asked you how many permanent members of are there in Security Council and how many non-permanent members. So you have to give that breakdown to me in the comment section. And I will see you guys in the next session. Till then, stay home, stay safe, take good care of yourselves, guys. Good night. Bye bye. Take care.